We are going to talk tonight about forest bathing, which is a practice where you can spend time with nature, and it's a combination of mindfulness and exploring the out of doors, and also just giving your brain a break from the day-to-day world and dropping into nature, being present. And it's very therapeutic, and it has a lot of health benefits as well, which I will be talking about. Um, I am a certified forest therapy guide, which is the same as a forest bathing guide. There are other names as well that we'll go through. But I got my training from the Forest Therapy School, which is a mindfulness-based program, and it's accredited by the International Mindfulness and Meditation Alliance. It's a practice that invites people into nature, and the concepts are to slow down, be present, open yourself to the experience, be with nature, not in nature, and spending time gives our brains a break, like I mentioned, because we have kind of a nature deficit disorder these days. We spend a lot of times indoors, and culturally, you can look at some shifts that have happened from years ago. Even our music is different. A lot of music 20, 30 years ago was about nature. There's a lot less of that now. A lot of the activities we did were outside. There's a lot less of that now. Kids are indoors playing with their video games rather than outside playing. So there has been a big shift in the time that we spend in nature. I am going to pull up my presentation here and share it. There we go. So like I mentioned, forest bathing has different names. It was originally called Shinrin Yoku, and it was started in Japan. The Japanese realized that spending time in nature had physiological effects on people. Spending time in nature lowers your blood pressure, slows your heart rate. There are benefits that you actually get from the trees and the dirt and things like that that we'll discuss a little bit more. In Japan, they've actually dedicated, I think, millions of acres of land for people to actually spend time in nature. You can attend a Shinrin Yoku site where you will be met by doctors and nurses who will do a physiological check on you, check your heart rate, check your blood pressure, possibly do some labs. And then you spend 3 days there, much of your time out of doors, much of your time being mindful of that time you are with nature. And then they check you out and find all those physiological differences that have happened. Spending 3 days in nature can be a little unobtainable for a lot of us, but there are benefits even just spending outside 20 minutes each day. It doesn't take a lot to get the benefits from it. Other names, of course, are forest bathing, which I think we use a lot in the United States. Forest therapy, which is the certification I got. It's all the same thing, but there's just different names. Forest immersion, and there are now actually accredited programs for people who are licensed behavioral health providers to get certified in counseling out of doors. So there's that unique setting that they can work with people that can be really beneficial. Forest bathing or forest therapy is holistic. It does several different things, and there are several different parts to a forest bathing session or walk. Initially, we start out with just settling in and becoming mindful, opening up our senses, using sight, sound, touch, smell, to orient yourself to your surroundings and also become aware of those surroundings, which a lot of times we just take for granted. Or as we're taking a walk, we just move through it and don't experience it. Forest bathing and spending time with nature is mood enhancing. There is evidence that a lot of the microbes and things in dirt actually help with depression. So it can help with those kinds of things. Um, Moving water, such as waterfalls, waves in the ocean, give off negative ions, which actually boost your serotonin levels. So if you can't be out in nature where there's a waterfall or something like that, fountains in the home are helpful. Even taking a shower is beneficial with the water running. So water, especially out in nature when you have everything else combined with it, is very therapeutic. Your immune system is also benefited. Trees emit something called phytoncides. They're part of the tree's immune system. It protects the trees from bugs and pathogens, things like that. And we can smell it, especially like pine trees and things. You can smell those things in the air. And they not only are they good for the immune system of the tree, when you breathe them in, they boost your immune system as well. They increase the activity of NK cells, or natural killer cells, that humans have. And those natural killer cells fight things like cancer. So it's very beneficial. And then awe and wonder. I mentioned just kind of moving through nature or an area when you're out for a walk or something. When you slow down and become aware, use your senses, you start seeing things you've never seen before. And that can provide a sense of awe. I think of the things in my life that probably were the most awe-inspiring were natural things. Number of years ago, probably 30 years ago, Hale-Bopp comet was visible in the sky. It's one of the most awe-inspiring things that I'd ever seen. Couldn't buy it, didn't consume it, any of those things. It was a natural thing that was very awe-inspiring. Um, Birds, some people like birds. I'm one of those. And, seeing different unique birds for me is very awe-inspiring. All of these things that can bring that sense of wonder to you are available in nature. And, just needing to walk and look around and experience your environment. So what can you expect on a walk? After you've done that initial mindfulness activity, there can be some, one more, I think. Yep, there you go. After that mindfulness activity, there can be some mindful movement as well. Forest bathing walks they're not hikes. You are not going to work up a sweat or anything like that. You can do it. You can be in one area and stay in one area and not go very far at all. And if that's the case, it's nice to do some mindful movement because you may be bending and stretching and looking up and looking down just to warm your body up a little bit. Sometimes if there is some walking involved, that walking will be what gets our body just going as we're getting prepared to do the activities that we're going to do. Then we move on to the core of forest bathing or forest therapy, and that is something called invitations. Invitations are where a forest therapy leader or guide will have suggestions that they present to the group, and they take into account the environment that you're in at the time. One of my favorite things is when it's windy, is watching things move. And so that may be an invitation that I would offer to the group and say, wander around at your own pace and notice things that are moving. And then we would spend time doing that for 10 minutes or so. Call everybody back in the group and then share experiences if you're comfortable sharing. If an activity or an invitation doesn't resonate with you, that's fine too. Just being outdoors and being present and getting from it what matters to you is most important. And the invitations, usually we do about 3, again, spending 10 minutes or so on each of them and then coming back together as a group and discussing them and just sharing what you found is that core of a forest therapy walk or session. For this presentation tonight, I will have an invitation suggestion that anybody can do at home, just so you have an idea of what to do and you can spend a little time trying it out. So why have a guide? You can definitely go forest bathing or forest, do a forest therapy session on your own. There's actually one of the parks in the Twin Cities area. I believe it's in Badness Heights. I'd have to double check. But it is a designated forest therapy or forest bathing trail. You start at one area, and there are signs along the way that tell you a invitation or suggest an invitation for you to do in that particular area. So there are things being set up where you can just say, today I'm going to do this, and you go out. But advantages of having a guide as well are, you know, um, a guide checks out the area or the trail or the park or whatever ahead of time. Um, in fact, at the beginning of each session that I would do, I'd actually walk it myself before people come because things change. Parks and trails can get maintenance done on them, making them not a good site to do things. Based on rain or snow or other natural things, areas might be unsafe. So having a guide is someone who's figuring all those things out for you so the experience can be really positive. And you can go from start to finish without having any interruptions or conflicts because things just aren't the way you expect them to be. Um, Invitations, there are hundreds and hundreds of invitations that can be offered. And having a guide to have kind of the list of them or those resources available to offer and make it unique each time you want to go out can be really helpful as well. And then a guide can hold the space for you. You don't have to think, okay, what do I do next? I'm going to be there to help you do that and give you those suggestions. Be very patient with the process. Everybody experiences this in their own way. There's no set rules or anything. And a guide will just make that comfortable and give you permission to do what we're doing out in the woods or out in nature. You don't have to go outside to do forest bathing. If you think about your home, there are a lot of natural materials in your home already. A lot of people have wooden furniture, granite countertops. A lot of people have house plants. People open up their windows to hear the birds, to let the wind in. So there, you can experience forest bathing at home. Um, Sometimes that might just be even just having a house plant nearby that you're really examining, not taking it for granted, looking at the different colors, the shapes. Um, from day to day, you may even notice that the plant changes. You're just being very mindful of that plant that you have. Um, you can bring essential oils into your home. Hinoki cypress or Hinoki cedar is a very good one. Cedar wood, pine. There are Shinrin Yoku made essential oils that you can get that kind of bring together a lot of those fragrances that are outdoors. You can get, um, CDs or using the internet finding bird song, the sound of waterfalls, those kinds of things to create that little environment for yourself at home when you need to stress or if you just want to have that experience of taking a little outdoor break. Um, a lot of people bring in art into their home. People also bring in stones, feathers, um, leaves, other natural things, and bring them into their home and use them as decoration. We can have nature all around us all the time. And I invite people to do that. The last thing that occurs with a formal um, walk is a tea. And the first time I had gone forest bathing, the tea was not part of our session. So when I took the class, I was actually very surprised to learn that it's actually um, a very formal part of it that is practice. The point of having the tea is a few things. It's another time to kind of have a sense of community with the people who are on that walk. But we've opened up our senses to sight, smell, sound, touch. And the tea allows us to have the sensation of taste. Um, The guides that I learned forest bathing from will even make teas out of things like pine needles, things that are edible, and they make their tea out of it. So I do bring tea on mine. All tea, of course, is natural. I do try to find things that are fresh to make the tea out of. So one of my favorites is sage, fresh sage to make tea out of. And that would be the way that we would end a session of forest bathing. So that's the end of my slides. What I would like to do is offer the chance to just spend a couple minutes doing a mindfulness activity. And mindfulness can be done eyes open, eyes closed, whatever you prefer. I am going to attempt here to turn on a YouTube video and see if it'll go here. Oh, it has an ad at the beginning. We'll give it a second. There we go. So we'll have this sound in the background. It is a waterfall and birds. Um, and I'm going to invite everybody to just find a comfortable position. Relax your shoulders, your arms, your legs, and take a couple of deep breaths in and out. And then just listen to what you are hearing. In addition to the sounds that we're hearing from the computer, you might hear sounds in your environment as well. They could be natural or man-made. Just invite them all in, recognize them, experience them as just part of a sensation to open up your sense of hearing and sound. And when you're ready to just come back to the present and where you're sitting, feel free to slowly open your eyes and come back. I find that even that few 3-4 minutes that we did that I calm down. My breathing gets slower, my heart rate goes down. If I had a blood pressure cuff on me, that would probably go down as well. It's having these sounds can be very calming and very soothing. I will turn this down just a little bit. So in addition to that exercise with sound, when we're going through the mindfulness, we'd also do things just looking around our environment, noticing details of things, using our sense of touch to feel the wind that's blowing, Also putting your hands on the ground and feeling that. And then breathing in and out. What do you smell? Um, is the air cool, warm? Does it change? Things like that. So just a very incremental, intentional um, awareness of each of the senses is something that gets you prepared to do forest bathing, and then gets you ready to then move on to those invitations that I talked about. So after that sensation or senses activity would happen, then that's when a forest therapy guide, I would present an invitation to people, and something that can be done while we're doing a video situation here, or if you're sitting indoors, or you don't have the ability for whatever reason to get up and go outside. Um, Even just things as simple as bark or pine cones, moss, spending some time looking at the details of these things. Again, if we're outside doing an activity in our garden or whatever, we don't pay attention to the details. And I invite you to do this with a house plant, or if you have stones in your home, crystals, anything, to spend some time really looking at them. Um, See what it is that you can find, see the details, the colors, things like that. So if you're at home right now, think of something that you could grab or get near a plant, or even go by the window and look outside and see what you notice, the details of nature. At the end of each invitation, then I call the group back together, and invite people to share what it is they noticed. So, um, pine cones are around on the ground in a lot of places, right near my home. But just with this particular one, the real difference between light and dark colors um, is kind of striking to me. And then each of the little, I want to call them petals. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but each of these little petals has a little bump on it that actually looks like a little spider or something. It has a round bump with little things that looks like legs coming out of it. It's not a bug, but it's just interesting to me that I really never paid a lot of attention to the details in a pine cone. And during my activity of looking at them, I felt very engrossed in the activity and was very present just observing this.